Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. So I realized as quickly as I posted up the New Year's video and said you're gonna see the new whimsical, like weird happy side of me, I'm doing this video. I've avoided this video for a really long time, and I was gonna do this video when our firstborn was supposed to be born, but then I was pregnant and I didn't want to do the video while I was pregnant. And then I didn't want to do the video after I was pregnant because I just wanted to be happy and like enjoy that like I beat infertility and now I have these twins. And then it's like time passed with the twins, and then I didn't want to do it because of the holidays, and I just realized there's never gonna be like a good time to do this video, and I'm never gonna like feel into it and like want to make this video. So I have time right now. Troy is off with the boys today. He gave me some time to just clean and get chores done. So we're gonna get into this story today. As you guys are watching this video, today would be our firstborn child. We don't know whether it was a boy or a girl. I had a dream that it was a girl, so I like to think that this would have been my daughter. But again, I don't know, so I don't want to like say it that way. But anyways, this would be their first birthday. So today would be the day where we celebrate them, probably either the weekend before or the weekend after. We would be going down to Iowa and doing like a big first birthday bash like we are planning to do with our twin boys. But this was the baby's due date. So if we would have went to term, today would be the day that they would be turning 1. I feel like I've given myself enough time. Certain days I feel a lot more emotional about it than other days. So certain things stick out very vividly in my mind. Like the day that we had our miscarriage, the day we had our appointment, those days are days that stick with me forever, considering that they were so incredibly close to the boys' actual birthdays. But certain things I have to actually look in my planner. I'm a very recorded person, especially with my first IVF cycle. I recorded everything. I wrote everything down, everything I was feeling, everything that was going on, because I just, if they asked me questions or things went wrong, which they did, like I wanted to be able to like answer questions that like the doctors had for me. So I guess let's just start from the beginning. On June 20th, it was a Wednesday. I was at work. So really quickly, I should just put like a public service announcement out for, I know that I have a lot of family who watch my videos and support me and stuff like that. This is going to be a very like TMI video. There's going to be certain things that maybe like you didn't want to know about me if you were my family or even my friends. But if I'm going to put this out there, I just need to put all of it out there and share, because 1 in 4 people have miscarriages, guys. Like, this is one of the most common things, and because it's taboo and nobody talks about it, when you're someone who goes through it, you feel so alone. Like, when I went through mine, like, I didn't realize all of the family that I've had who went through miscarriage, all the friends I've had who've had miscarriages. Like, it's so common, but when I first went through it at the beginning, before I didn't talk about it to anybody, like I literally felt like I was the only person. I don't know if I said this in previous videos. I know I've said it out loud to people before, but in our island community, amongst us Bingala Peace people, like people pop out babies like water. Like literally, it's like something in the water. Like our families are huge. We have big families, lots of siblings, lots of cousins, lots of aunts and uncles. Like we're huge. So to go through a miscarriage or even have infertility issues, which again, 1 in 8 women have infertility problems. Like another common thing, but I felt so different, and I felt like I was the only one because nobody talks about how it's like those who are having trouble having kids, nobody talks about it. Those who have had miscarriages, nobody talks about it. So I'm gonna talk about mine, and I'm gonna put it out there, and people are gonna realize how common this is, and people are gonna realize when you're going through it, you're not alone. And I'm realizing, even just now talking about it, I'm realizing for how big we are, like as a family, and for how many kids everybody has, I'm sure everyone who has like 6, 7, 8, 5 kids, they probably had at least one miscarriage. Do you know what I mean? Maybe they didn't know about it because they didn't have infertility issues like I did. I know a family member who says like she's pretty sure she probably did have a miscarriage before she had her first baby because like bleeding was heavier, or like she didn't, like her period came later, and then like a little bit later than her period came, you know, things like that. But to go back to what I was saying, this is going to be a lot of information for especially like my guy cousins who watch. Like I love that all of you guys support me and you watch my content. But this might not be the video that you want to see, and if you do watch it, like hopefully it doesn't shine a different, I mean, I hope it shines a different light on who I am as a person, but I hope it doesn't shine a different light like negatively or like awkwardly. Do you know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to throw that out there a little bit, just because this is going to be a lot of information and things that maybe like some of y'all didn't want to like know. Okay, so to go back to it, I was at work and I was going to go to the printer to get something. Well, when I stood up, it was kind of like a rush. Do you know what I mean? For all you women who have like a period and things like that, I know that you know what I'm talking about, but something was definitely wrong. So like I quick like ran to the bathroom, like literally probably people thought I was either gonna throw up or like crap my pants because I like sprinted to the bathroom. And when like I pulled on my pants and everything, there was blood, and like a lot of blood. So when I sat, like a clot came out, and I was like, was that my baby? Like I was like instantly crying. So I went back in the room, like I gathered myself a little bit, not even a lot, because clearly everyone who saw me or anyone I passed knew that something was going on because I was just like a mess. But all the managers were in a meeting, and I was like, well, I'm leaving. Like I can't. So I told my lead, who she knew I was going through IVF. Not a lot of people knew in my department. So I told my lead, and she was like, go, like get out of here, just sign out. Like I'll figure out what you haven't gotten done yet and I'll do it. And I was like super grateful for that. So I like quick signed out, and I'm like walking out in tears, going to my car. Right away I called Troy, and I was like, hey, like I'm bleeding and I don't know what's going on. So he left work too, so he could come home. On that day, I had a call with my case manager. So with my insurance and going through IVF and stuff, they give you like a case manager to like answer your questions. They also check on like my mood. Do you feel depressed? Are you okay? Suicidal? Things like that. So they're just there to like help and support you through IVF. And then once you get into like the pregnancy stage, and out of IVF, they answer questions for pregnancy. Like I get a whole other case manager. But anyways, I left work at like 2, and I had my case manager call at 2:30. I wanted to ask her right away, like, hey, did you have cases like this before? Like, has this happened? I know that bleeding is common, but like this was a lot of blood and like clotting and stuff like that. Like, did I just lose my baby? And she just told me like, call your doctor and this and that. So it was a very short call. So right away I call my IVF clinic. I wanted to get in there and I wanted to see like, did I just lose my baby? So this was on the 20th of June. On May 30th is when we did my IVF transfer. So when that bleeding happened, I was only 5 weeks. So I wanted to get into the clinic and I wanted to look. and see like if I lost my baby, and they were like, it's too soon. Like the earliest we do it is at the 6-week appointment. So the following week on the 27th was when I already had my scheduled 6-week appointment. So the only thing that they could do for me was put me on bed rest. So I went on bed rest literally that day. They told me to go on bed rest until my appointment, like strict bed rest, like stay in bed, don't go to work, don't do anything. So I went home, called my manager, told her like, hey, until I figure this whole thing out, like I'm not coming into work. So I still continued my medication. We treated it as if I was still pregnant. We didn't want to like disrupt anything, didn't want to change anything. So I still kept on with my progesterone and my patches and things like that. Then the next day on Thursday, I was still bleeding like a little bit, not as heavy, but like it was still like a constant like bleeding. Then on Friday it stopped. I didn't have anything, so I was feeling kind of like hopeful. But then at the same time I was feeling like, is it because everything is gone now? You know, like I was glad it stopped bleeding, but at the same time I was thinking to myself, maybe it's because it's gone, like everything is gone. Then Saturday hit and I started bleeding all over again, and it was hard and it was painful. I was cramping and it was hurting, and I remember sitting on the toilet and just like sobbing because like I was clotting and I was bleeding and everything was hurting, and Troy was trying to like console me and be with me, and at the same time I know that he was feeling kind of heartbroken because like we both were kind of thinking, at least for me, I was thinking that it was over, like I was done, and it was just hard. So then that Sunday my parents came over. I forgot why they came over, or if I asked them to come over, or because I feel like my mom brought me meatloaf. I don't know why that sticks in my head, but she came over and they brought me food. I think it was meatloaf because that's my jam. And I ended up just telling them, and I showed them the pregnancy test that said pregnant, and they got excited, but I wasn't excited, and they could see that on my face. Sorry. So when they said congratulations, I like had to stop them, and I was like, well, actually I've been bleeding, so like, yes, right now I'm pregnant maybe, but like I don't know if this will stick. And like it was like the worst, like, hey, you're gonna be grandparents, like maybe though, not sure, but maybe. Like I realistically shouldn't have told them, but it's like I just really wanted like my mom, you know, when you're like sick and you don't feel good and you just wanted to like, I just wanted my mom. So then the rest of that day, I think I was just like lightly bleeding. So then go through Monday, Tuesday, then Wednesday, we had our 6-week appointment. It was at 12:30. I think we got that moved up a little bit because I think it was later in the day, but like they knew that like I was probably anxious and stressed out, and like I just wanted to know. So we had it at 12:30. Troy came with me. I was on bed rest that whole week leading up to that appointment day. We went in and there was a heartbeat. I was so incredibly relieved, and I was so like happy. Like they said everything looked good. I think the heartbeat was between 107 and 109, which was like a good like heartbeat. But I was still feeling a little bit nervous. Like the heartbeat made me feel good. I felt better about it. So that was Wednesday. Thursday I stayed on bed rest again just because I was like, one more day, I'm just taking it easy because I don't want to rush anything. So that was the 28th. Then the 29th was a Friday. It was Troy and I's 5-year wedding anniversary, so I had that day off anyways, and I continued my medication as normal. So then getting into July, my brother-in-law and my cousin-in-law, they came in from Portland. That was leading up to July 4th. So July 4th, for those who aren't Pingalapis Micronesians, July 4th is a really big deal. It's kind of like just a big family reunion. We have people coming from Texas, Utah, Oregon, Missouri, Arkansas, Iowa, everywhere. We rotate states. Sometimes it's in Utah, sometimes we're in Oregon, sometimes we're in Missouri, Texas, Nebraska, Iowa. Those are kind of like the main states that we travel around for, and we have a softball tournament. So it's kind of like a big family reunion. It's a pretty big deal. Everyone goes to it. And that year it was in Iowa. So Troy and I were feeling a little nostalgic about it because 5 years prior. We got married on the 29th of June, and then for July 4th, it was in Iowa that year as well. So it was like we went full circle. 5 years later, we're back in Iowa. We had our 5-year wedding anniversary. We were pregnant. Nobody knew we were pregnant. We were just excited. So my brother-in-law came in, and my cousin-in-law came in on that Monday. And I believe that year I didn't make it to July 4th. Troy went with his brother and with his cousin. They went down and he played and everything. And I didn't go down until that Friday, because I ended up having to work. I didn't get the time off. So I went down on Friday, which was the farewell party, and I made it at the very end. So that day I wore my multicolored shirt. It's an old jersey of my brother-in-law's, because I was feeling a little bit bloated. First of all, because of my medication, but I didn't look pregnant, but I also looked pregnant because of, like, I didn't look pregnant, like, I knew I didn't have like a bump, but at the same time I had a bump because I was bloated from all my IVF medication. But I didn't want anybody to ask me about me being pregnant because I just didn't want to have that conversation. I didn't want to have to like lie about it. But Troy's family at this point didn't know about it. So on that Friday we had the farewell party. I got there in Iowa at the end of it. And then we ended up going back to Troy's uncle's house, which is where everyone was staying. And I had a little like word board, like letterboard thing, and on it said Ezekiel baby due February 2019, and then it had our little ultrasound on there that we got at our 6-week appointment. And then we told Troy's family. I gave the board to Troy's mom after I had given her a grape. So at that point I was 7 weeks pregnant, and I think at that time it said at 7 weeks your baby is the size of a grape. So I had a grape and I gave it to Rosa, which is Troy's mom, and I said, that's how big your grandbaby is right now. And she was like so confused. She's like, what? And I like repeated. I was like, that's how big your grandbaby is right now. And then I had that board and I gave it to her, and obviously she cried. I got a little teary. Like Troy's grandma found out, all his cousins and stuff. And everyone was so excited, and we were excited, and I was just glad everybody knew this was us announcing. At that point, after we told his family and my family, then we were gonna like announce it on Facebook and let everybody know. But we did tell her, like, you know, we had a little bit of a scare. I was bleeding, and like we went in, we saw the heartbeat though, and we think everything's okay, but like we're not out of the woods yet, obviously, because we're not out of the first trimester and all of that. So that was on a Friday. I was there for the weekend in Iowa, and then Troy and I and his cousin and his brother came back with us, because his brother was spending the summer with us that year. So we all went back to Minnesota, and that Wednesday after that weekend was my 8-week appointment. So we went in there, and I was feeling a little like nervous, just because I was always nervous for ultrasound days, and like even when I took my blood work and stuff like that to figure out if we were pregnant, like I was just always nervous. But we went in and we had the new tech and everything, and she like was checking everything out, and she's being very quiet. And she didn't say anything. And then it was like she was looking around, and then she also had like somebody studying under her. Like she was newer, but she also had somebody who was learning from her as well. So she looked to that girl and she said, can you go get so-and-so? And right away I knew the person she was asking for was like their head nurse, who like is kind of like in charge of everybody, and she's like the one you double check things with. So I looked at the girl and she wasn't looking at me. She was looking at the screen, and I said, is the baby not there anymore? And she said, well, let's just wait for Margaret. That's who like their lead person was. And I'm like, okay, like that's not good, you know? So Troy, he ended up looking at the screen, and he said that when he looked at that screen, it was way different than when we saw it at 6 weeks. The baby looked smaller, and like it was sunken, like it was different. I didn't look at it. So Maggie came in the room and she looked around. You know, all this time we're doing internal ultrasounds, nothing on the belly, everything's internal. And she just looked at us and she said, you know, I'm sorry you guys, but I don't see a heartbeat. And right away I just looked to the side. Like, they were both over on this side and Troy was standing over here, and I just looked to the side. So right away Maggie said, well, hang on, let me, you know, you guys sit down in a room with Dr. Batchelor. She was our head doctor. She's the one that we first sat down for our consultation, and she's the one who also did our transfer. So she was like our main doctor. So I just stopped talking. I didn't look at anybody. I didn't do anything. I just sat and cried. And the nurse who had first was looking, she asked Troy if we wanted a picture, and I didn't say anything. Part of me wanted a picture, but part of me didn't, because it was just like, it was just a picture of like my dead baby, you know. So we went into the little doctor's office. It's like the consultation room. That's where we sat and we like talked about our medication plans and this and that. Like, that was the room we always sat in. And now this time we were sitting in that room to talk about what was next. You know, do I pass this naturally? Do I do a D&C? So we sat in there what literally felt like forever. I was sad. I just cried, and Troy was getting agitated because he didn't want to sit in that room anymore. He's very much a person who feels like he has to be strong for me or for whoever he's consoling. So he just wanted to like get out of there. He didn't want to be in there. He didn't want to talk to people. He didn't want to do anything. So we sat in there. Literally, it felt like we sat in there for like 20 to 30 minutes before anyone came in, when realistically we probably only sat there for like 10 or 15. But it felt like forever. She came in and she said basically it wasn't anything that I did. So Troy and I didn't test our embryos, which in hindsight, looking back, I really wish we would have. So it would have been an extra $1,000 to genetically test our babies, or our embryos. But at the time it was like, we didn't have the money for that. And we were like, in my head right now, it's so stubborn. So in my head, I thought to myself, well, in real life, nobody has that. You know what I mean? Because with genetic testing, we would have seen if they were chromosomally normal, and we would have seen the genders. I mean, we could have chose whether or not they told us that, but some people do that. They get the genders and then they say, we want like a boy first, so transfer all the boys first, or we want girls first, so transfer all the girls first. Like, people choose. And in my head, I thought to myself, in real life, you don't get to do that, so I don't want to know, you know? But now, after thinking about it, I just went through all of these shots, all of these medications, pills, patches, all the time, all the heartache, to have transferred a chromosomally abnormal embryo, and it was gonna fail anyways. So if we would have just tested, all the ones that weren't chromosomally normal would have just got taken out of the batch, and all the ones that were in the freezer waiting for us were ones that we knew would work. So it's kind of like, I could have just spent $1,000 to make sure we had ones that worked. I mean, granted, miscarriage is still like very much a possibility still. Or I just spent like what, $30K to do an embryo that wasn't gonna work. You know what I mean? So it's a little frustrating now when I look at it in hindsight, but I mean, we made our choices. This is what we did, and you know, it is what it is. But we sat with a doctor and she just basically said, you know, she can schedule a D&C for me right away, or I can pass it naturally. And at that time, I didn't want to do a D&C because, again, in my head, I'm thinking about the money. Is a DNC even covered under my insurance? I don't know if it's covered under my insurance. Like, and then at the other end of the spectrum, after, you know, worrying about the money, I thought to myself, I don't know. These are like thoughts that I haven't even like said out loud. So I'm saying them here now, but it's almost kind of like I wanted to do it naturally, partially to like, this is like so bad to say, but I kind of wanted to like punish myself because I was mad. I was mad at my body because I couldn't do what everybody else could do. And I was mad about it. And then the other part of me wanted to do it naturally because I thought to myself, if my body can never hold a baby, this is the only way that I'll ever have like a natural birth. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just wanted to, if I couldn't push and ever have a baby, this was like my only way of having a baby. I don't know where my mindset was at all. So half of it was because of the money, and part of it was because I wanted to feel like I was having a natural birth, even though there's nothing natural about it. There's nothing pleasant about it. And then part of me just wanted to kind of like, I was just mad. I was mad at my body, and I was mad that I couldn't do this. So even though the doctor said it was nothing that I did, there was no way of avoiding it, like, I still was just like mad, and I blamed myself. So we left that doctor's office just being like, we're gonna think about it. I already kind of had in my head that I was gonna pass it naturally, but I wanted to kind of like talk it out with Troy and kind of like have a conversation. Obviously he said everything was up to me, like I was the one who had to go through it, so like he was like, just tell me what you want to do and we're gonna do it the way you want to do it. So before that doctor's office even closed, I had called and told them like, I'm gonna do it the natural way. So there was two different ways I could do it naturally. I could just like wait for all of it to go on its own, or they would put medication internally, and it speeds up the process. So I wanted to do it naturally, but I didn't want to do it where I had to wait for it because I didn't know how long it was going to take. And I couldn't take off any more work. Like, I was already off for like a week and a half, with being on bed rest and like trying to save the pregnancy at the beginning. So I went right for like the pill form. So the next day we went in and we did miscarriage by medication. So it was kind of just like the transfer. I laid on the table, I put my feet up on the stirrups, and she just inserted, it's like, I think there was like 2 or 3 like pills, and they like dissolve. So she just inserted those, and she said for the rest of the day I'd probably feel a little bit of cramping, and then at nighttime is when like everything's gonna happen. So Troy and I left, obviously devastated and sad and all of the emotions. They gave me a prescription for, I think it's Valium, but it's so old school that like I had to actually like bring a handwritten note to the pharmacist to have them fill. So the plan was to go to Target and get it filled over by my mom's house because I wanted to go get Hardee's. So we were gonna go get Hardee's, then go to my mom's house and eat Hardee's while the prescription was being filled at the Target by her house. So we were driving home and I was already feeling cramping. Like, even when she put in the medication, I was already feeling cramping. And we were walking to the car, I was feeling cramping. I was sitting in the car driving to Target feeling cramping. So we were literally at the 4-way stop by Target, and all of a sudden it was like whoosh. And I told Troy, I said, I need to go home. Like, we have to go to mom's house now. Like, So we skipped Target. We went to my mom's house, which was like only 5 minutes away from Target. And like the whole time I was sitting there, like I told Troy, I said, I'm probably like bleeding on the seat right now. Like that, like she told me it wasn't going to happen for another 4 to 5 hours. Like it was going to be nighttime when that happened. And it was just like immediate. So I got to my mom's house, I got out of the car, all of my pants, my underwear, everything was like all bloodied up. I went straight to the bathroom. Like I didn't even say hi to my mom. I went straight to the bathroom, like took everything off, and I just like sat on the toilet. Like that was me having my miscarriage. So I had no change of clothes. I had nothing. I was hungry. Troy went to go fill my prescription. My mom, she runs an in-home daycare, so she can't go and like get my food or go and get me some clothes or anything. So I just like had to sit on the toilet until Troy could like bring me things. So Troy went and he filled my prescription, and he went all the way home. Or did I have clothes in the car? No, I don't think I had any clothes in the car. He had to go all the way home and go get me clothes and come back. And the whole time I just sat on the toilet. That was literally like, that's all I could do, because I didn't have any pads. And to be like really blunt and honest, pads weren't even enough. When Troy came back with my clothes, my mom, it was like nap time for all the kids, so Troy watched the kids, and my mom had to go to Target and she had to go buy adult diapers. Like that's legitimately what I had to wear during this miscarriage, because it was so much that I either had to sit in the tub or sit on the toilet. But there was no like, oh, just put a pad on, or just like I literally wore adult diapers. That's how I did my miscarriage. So this whole time my brother-in-law is sitting at my house. He actually came back with Troy, I think when he brought me back clothes. And I sat and I had my miscarriage, and that was kind of how it went. At the time I was being like really strong and I wasn't super emotional about it. This was kind of just like flashbacks though to like 8th grade, when literally my entire 8th grade I had my period. Like my entire 8th grade. And I'm not talking like, oh, I had it once a month like normal girls. Like literally the whole entire year, every single day, I had my period. I'm telling you guys, like I was off cycle my whole life. Like I've never had a cycle. That's just like, that's me. So sitting on the toilet, again, this is gonna be TMI, and I'm sorry if you're still here and you're my family, my friends, whatever, and you're watching, like this is TMI, but my mom sat in there with me. She just sat on the edge of the tub and she just wanted to be with me, and while Troy was off getting his brother, and it's like I'd just be sitting there and it literally like sounded like I was peeing, but that was just blood. And then every time it would happen, she'd kind of like get quiet and like look at me, and she'd be like, you know, how are you feeling? And at the time it just felt like me in the 8th grade when I constantly had my period. Like that's just like what it felt like, you know, all the clotting and everything, it just felt like that. So at the time I was kind of just like flashback to that, and I wasn't feeling super emotional and everything. And then, you know, the day goes by, my dad gets off of work, he comes home and I'm there. He didn't expect me to be there. I didn't expect to be there. Again, the plan was to go fill the prescription, go to Hardee's, eat food at my mom's house, go pick up the prescription and go home. In hindsight, I'm kind of glad I went through it at my mom's house, because I'm glad that I had her. And I mean, having Troy obviously was like, he was there emotionally, and so was my mom and my parents and my brother-in-law, but like my mom was kind of there to like nurture too. So it's like she, you know, checked on like my pain levels and gave me food and soup and stuff like that. And it's like Troy's capable of all of that too, but like usually I'm the one who nurtures him, and you know what I mean. So it was nice to have my mom there and to be there for me and stuff like that. This is kind of the part that I'm block out a little bit, but I believe Troy and his brother went home. I spent the night at my mom's house because I just wanted to rest. I didn't want to go in the car. I didn't feel good, and I think I just slept on her couch and stuff like that. But it got a little rough there for a while. I didn't take any medication at all. Or did I take a little bit? No, I didn't take any at all, because I think my mom said that the Valium makes her sick, and my sister said the Valium makes her sick. So I was like, I'm probably the next one who's gonna get sick from it. You know, like it's not gonna help. It's almost gonna make it worse, which is what they said happens for them. So the pain got so intense and the cramping got so intense that I got the spins. I threw up. Like I literally felt like I was going through like withdrawal. Like if I, you know, had an addiction and I was going through withdrawal from it. And for a while I just like literally laid in the tub and I like slept because I was throwing up, I was bleeding, I was everything, and I just like didn't feel good. And my cramping was like super terrible. Again, I've never had normal cycles, so I've never really been like, you know, all the girls complain about menstrual cramping and stuff like that. Like I never really went through any of that. So this was like super, super intense. So that was July 12th. And for those of you who obviously have seen my videos, July 11th is when my twin boys were born. So July 11th was when we got the news that our first born, or our first baby, first pregnancy, whatever you want to call it, didn't have a heartbeat. And then July 12th was when I had my miscarriage, and I went through all the medication and I got rid of everything out of my body. And then flash to a year later, July 11th was the boys' actual delivery date. I don't know if I said this during their birth video or whatever vlog I did for that, but I didn't want to have them on the 11th. I didn't want to. I at the time viewed it as like a negative thing. As like a bad luck thing. It was bad. I didn't want to do it, but I didn't want both the day that I was told my baby had no heartbeat and the day that my boys were being born and like I was having my C-section. Like I didn't want those on the same day. Like to me, I was like, something's gonna go wrong because something went wrong on this day a year ago. So I was trying my best when I was having the boys to like go early, like earlier than that day, because that was my scheduled C-section day, because I just didn't want to associate the 2 days together. To me it was bad luck, but obviously everything went fine. It was good. Their sibling up in heaven was watching and protecting and everything, and it went well, but I was very nervous about it. So back to the story. The 12th was the day that we associate as Bean's birthday. July 12th would be obviously the day we're saying that they were born. That was a Thursday. Friday I obviously didn't go into work. I was still bleeding. Saturday still bleeding. Sunday still bleeding. Literally, you guys, like I took notes about everything. So this was the miscarriage day. I like documented everything. And then nothing. After that, I just stopped documenting. I didn't want to do anything. It was a rough next couple of weeks, and I feel so bad. We had my brother-in-law, he came here for the summer to like have a fun time, and it was literally just me and his brother, just like in one of the worst times of our lives, and he didn't come here for that, you know, so I feel bad. He definitely didn't have as much fun as he would have had if we had it together and everything happened, but obviously we didn't plan for this to happen and the miscarriage and everything like that. But then fast forward to July 26th, I had an appointment with my fertility clinic to see if everything was cleared through, and nothing was left over in my body. So we did another internal ultrasound, and at this point I was so over those. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to be there, because we weren't there for happy occasions anymore. So we went to that appointment, did an internal ultrasound, and there was still leftover tissue. The appointment was early enough in the day where she could write a prescription again for me to get the miscarriage medication. I forget what it's called. Yeah, I couldn't even tell you what it is. It was a really long name. What I didn't say with the first day of the miscarriage medication is I had to literally go to the clinic and pick up that medication and then go up to the office and do it. Which to me was so like devastating, to like go to a pharmacy to pick up medication that's literally gonna rid your body of your baby. Was like, I don't know, it was just difficult. It was hard. So I had to do it again. We went there on the 26th. They said there was still leftover tissue, so I left the doctor's office, went downstairs to the pharmacy that's downstairs, picked up more medication, and went right back upstairs to have them put it in. It was devastating and at the same time so agitating. Like, I was so agitated. Like, why do you not have this already in the clinic? Like, why do you literally have to make me go to the pharmacy to pick up this medication? To like, I mean, I know that my baby's already like gone, but like I felt like it was medication that was like killing, you know? I don't know. It was just, I was so over it. So I again lay on the table, put my legs in the stirrups. She inserts the medication, and we hope that it's gonna rid the rest of my tissue or whatever was left inside. Fast forward to August 2nd. So I had another doctor's appointment. That day we were leaving to go to Iowa and Missouri at the same time. So we were going to Iowa to drop off Troy's little brother. We realized we were giving him zero things to do. We were not having fun, and he could be having fun in Iowa with other family. So we were dropping him off in Iowa, and then we were continuing on down to Missouri because I had a family reunion for my dad's side of the family. So we had all those things to get done on that Thursday. So we go into the clinic, lie down on the table, do an internal ultrasound, and there's still leftover tissue. So we can only take that medication twice. And she said, now you're gonna have to have a DNC. So just so annoying, so heartbreaking, so devastating, just everything. Like, now I have to go down to this family reunion and I have to be happy while I still have leftover tissue from the pregnancy that didn't work out. So I leave the doctor's appointment. As we're driving to go pick up his brother from the house and then go to Iowa, I was calling the hospital and scheduling a DNC. And I got that scheduled, and we headed off to Iowa, dropped off his little brother, then continued on to Missouri and had my family reunion. So fast forward, had the family reunion that Saturday. Monday went back to Minnesota. Tuesday I had my consultation for my DNC. And then that Friday, which was August 10th, I had my DNC. The lady who did my DNC was the same doctor who had delivered my boys to me. So me and her have a pretty strong connection just because she was there for my DNC. She was there for the birth of my boys. I have twins, she has twins. she will definitely be my doctor as long as she is a doctor delivering babies. I want her to be the one who delivers all my babies. Like, she struck with me with my D&C because I sat in there and it's like, most doctors are like, okay, this is what we're gonna do, this is how it's gonna be, like, are you ready? Okay, let's go, you know? But she was very, like, cautious of my situation. She realized that it was literally July 11th when I was told that baby had no heartbeat, July 12th when I started the miscarriage, and now here we are, August 10th, and I'm having a D&C now. I went like a whole month having a miscarriage. So she felt very like sympathetic towards me, and she was very like calm and like not rushed at all. Do you have questions? And I was like, no, I don't have any questions. And then she's like, I mean, how are you feeling? And she just checked in, like, and doctors haven't done that with me. It was very like, we're on a time clock, there's somebody after you, we gotta go, we gotta do this, like, we're on a time crunch, you know? So I really like her. I just love her. But then I had my D&C on that Friday, and that same Friday, me and Troy were heading back down to Missouri because we had another softball tournament. So finally, on August 10th, I had my D&C. They put me under. Also, the same anesthesiologist who was there for my D&C was also there for my birth of my boys. So, yeah, it was just full circle. So now I was obviously recommended, if this ever happens again, probably just to go right to the D&C, and I will probably always go right to the D&C. I think I put myself through more than what I needed to go through. Like I said at the beginning, I just wanted to like punish my body because I was mad at it because it was doing this to me, and I couldn't have a baby the normal way. I couldn't carry the baby that I had, and I was just upset. So it was just a long journey, long process. But now sitting here a whole year later, today would be the day that our firstborn would be one. And things would just look so much different. Now, would we be sitting here with 3 kids? No, absolutely not. Just like right now with having the twins, even if we didn't have twins and we just had one, we're gonna wait a couple years before we start the next one, because of the process and how and what we go through to get to having a baby. I just want to enjoy this whole first year with the twins. I just want to enjoy everything about them, everything they go through, all their firsts. And I don't want to be distracted with having another IVF cycle and medications and focusing on pills and shots and patches and appointments. I just want to sit and enjoy the boys. Because after our miscarriage, so that was August, the next transfer we did with the boys was in November. So we moved quickly after our miscarriage. We definitely grieved as long as we felt necessary, but we were ready. We were ready for our next IVF transfer. So that's pretty much it. That's my miscarriage story. Took a whole month to go through it. Took a whole month to finish. And I just find it so... The word isn't funny. I don't want to say I find it funny, but I just find it sort of beautiful, sort of just like it was meant to be, that my boys were born exactly a year to date to where Troy and I had one of the worst news of our lives. I don't know. I think I still think about that. I still think it's like, I don't know why I can't process it. I can't process the way that it makes me feel. Part of me feels weird about it. Part of me feels happy about it. Part of me feels like that was what was written in the stars. I don't know. feel like I'm just kind of babbling now. I'm not really sure how to end this video, but I said I was gonna do my miscarriage story, and it took me a good, what, year and a half to finally make it. But there it is. I don't know how to end this video. It's very uncomfortable. But that's all I have for you guys in this video. Thank you for watching, for supporting, for following me on this journey. I will catch you in the next one.